hype jobs. Type of people created to make other people feel good.
They're not all hype jobs. Some of them are great fighters. But trust me when I tell you, they're not what the media tells you they are.
When it comes to the art of the hand-to-hand, sometimes you gotta create a man. Now, over the years, it's not hard to tell what kind of guy Triple G was. He was a guy that was in boxing just for the money. He was never trying to take any stiff competition by the likes of Steve Rolls and all these other Uber drivers and whatever you want to call them. But when you look at Triple G's career, it's very easy to sum up. He only had 3 or 4 good, legit, tough fights in his entire career, okay? And if you look at those fights, half the time it was people who came up in weight. The same thing we criticize PBC fighters, Gervonta Tank Davis, and hell, anybody with a darker complexion that's 2 shades darker than chalk, we criticize.
Would you do this against a formidable opponent? Yeah. Would you play basketball before it?
Okay, now, he fought Daniel Jacobs, went up in weight. Okay, he fight Kell Brook, went up in weight. He fought Gabe Rosado, went up in weight. Vanes Monterrosian, 3 weeks notice. Who else does he have? Canelo Alvarez? Okay? That's it. Out of an entire career, your best names on your resume is a Canelo Alvarez, a Kell Brook, and a Daniel Jacobs. I don't want to hear nothing about no fucking David Lemieux. Okay? You gotta understand, they compare Gennady Golovkin to the great Marvin Hagler. Absolutely insane. But I know what most of you are thinking. He's biased. He's hating on Triple G. He's this, he's that, he's whatever. You wanna know the problem with these Triple G fans? They cling on to Gennady Golovkin's nutsack because somehow Gennady Golovkin is the man that will bring respect back to the white race when it comes to boxing. So they protect this guy like Fort Knox. They protect this guy like he's a president with an assassination attempt hit out on his life. This is why nobody can go around and tell the absolute truth about when it comes to Gennady Golovkin or Triple G. Everybody is biased or they're lying. So let's take a break from all the biased people and let's listen to people inside the boxing game and their outlook and their view of Gennady Golovkin.
Like Spence Porter, the eventual loser rose from a knockdown and fought valiantly. But unlike Spence Porter, the wrong guy got the decision. I had Derevianchenko 8-4 in rounds by 3 points, 115-112, because of the knockdown Triple G scored. Could have seen it 7-5 for a point for Derevianchenko, but it's hard for me to see Triple G as the winner here. This is now the 4th fight in a row against a top middleweight in which Triple G has gone the distance. Before he faced Daniel Jacobs, the best middleweight he'd been in with to that point, Golovkin had stopped 23 consecutive opponents. Many were world class, none were elite middleweights. None were elite middleweights.
None were elite middleweights.
So if Gennady Golovkin never fought any elite middleweights, then how in the world did he become in the conversation with the likes of a legend like Marvin Hagler?
Soon as he started facing the best in the division, the very best, the knockouts stopped. Even the winning has slowed down. Jacobs was close. Thought Triple G won the first Canelo fight, but was given a draw. Thought he lost the rematch, and the judges agreed. So including the Derevianchenko fight, Triple G is now officially 2-1-1 with no knockouts in his last 4 fights against top middles. The only fights against the cream of the 160-pound crop he's ever had in his entire professional career. On my unofficial card, he's 500. Against those top guys, Yes, sandwiched between Canelo and Derevyanchenko, Triple G knocked out Steve Rolls, who was undefeated but not considered on this level. But even Rolls seemed to have an easy time landing his own big shots. And that was always the question about Triple G. Did he look like the boogeyman because he was fighting inferior opposition and as soon as he stepped up he got exposed? Or was it simply a shame that he couldn't land big fights when he was in his prime? And that by the time he did land those big fights, he was framed as overrated because by then he was too old to show what he could have really done once upon a time? The most unsatisfying, but probably most sensible answer is it's some of both. I've been accused of shilling for Triple G when I was at HBO. Never did. Thought he was the best value for your entertainment dollar in the entire world back then. But I never had him as the best pound-for-pound fighter. I don't think I even ever had him as high as number 3. He hadn't proved it yet.
Max Kellerman just expressed to you the key words in this whole interview is hasn't proved it yet.
But I admit, I suspected when given the chance, he'd make a good case.
Now, for somebody like Triple G to never fought an elite middleweight, somebody who has never done anything to stand out more than any other average fighter, how was he able to get pushed in the pound-for-pound rankings so fast without having to prove yourself? And this comes down to the moral of the story. In a few videos back, we seen how people like Floyd Mayweather and people like Roy Jones Jr. always had to prove themselves over and over and over, fight killer after killer after killer, and it still was not good enough for them to make a sound decision on whether this fighter is elite and should be placed at the top of the pound for pound out of all the fighters. Yet you notice when it comes to these selective few hype jobs, engineered fighters put into place to make other people feel good because they still believe in the established order that white is right. And when the fighter is white, you can sell more tickets.
I admit, I suspected when given the chance, he'd make a good case. Not as good a case as Floyd Mayweather, not as good a case as Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao.
Or Manny Pacquiao.
Or Andre Ward.
Or Andre Ward.
But better than, say, Canelo, who I expected him to beat convincingly. Looking back, he never did prove it. And looking ahead, I don't think he ever will.
Hype jobs. Kind of people created to make other people feel good.